an unknown mysterious virus breaks out in a building isolated by a plastic film layer, turning the residents inside into bloodthirsty zombies. Shortly after, an elite team is ordered to the scene, and their mission is to protect a virus expert, to enter the building and find out the cause of the virus outbreak. Before that, several firefighters and epidemic prevention officers had been lost. This shows that the situation inside is quite tricky. After putting on their gas masks, they entered the building. When they arrived inside, a strong smell of blood hit them. They didn't find anyone except for an obvious bloodstain on the floor. Dr. Owen seemed to know something. He told everyone to remove their gas masks. The virus does not spread through the air, only through blood and saliva. And his purpose is also very clear: to go straight to the top of the building's attic. Already seen Death Video 1. All the partners know the attic is where the virus broke out. Dr. Owen was not afraid. They went to the attic without finding any infected people or survivors. Inside the attic, we did not see Death Video 1. The disappeared female reporter Angela. Even the top of the mezzanine did not find any abnormalities. However, at that moment, there was a sudden scream from outside, and after some searching, they were sure that the sound was coming from a half-open room on the 3rd floor. Usually, it is wisest for the team to act together at such times, but Balagueró assigned one person to go in. Unexpectedly, the team member quickly found the source of the sound. The sound came from a gramophone, but just when he was about to turn off the gramophone and go back, a zombie suddenly attacked him. By the time Balagueró arrived with his man, he had found his teammate motionless. However, the next second, it was clear that his teammate had turned into a zombie, but they did not know that the delay in pulling the trigger was only to use brute force to subdue him. The key moment: Dr. Owen timely help, only to see him holding a cross in his hand, mouth reciting the Bible, and soon let the zombie stop attacking. Such an operation is excellent. Even the zombie film is an exorcism film. The captain kicked it into the house. The zombies still wanted to struggle. Dr. Owen hurriedly hung the cross on the door, and the house was completely quiet this time. Looking at this series of operations, the captain immediately questioned Dr. Owen about what had happened. What kind of virus would make a normal person become like this in a few minutes? In the face of several people gradually out of control, Dr. Owen took them back to the attic again to tell the whole truth. The little girl in the photo is the first infected person, but she is not infected with a virus but possessed by a demon, and this possession will be transmitted through blood. To solve this problem, a priest conducted secret research, but the contact was lost. It wasn't until the zombie virus outbreak in this building that they realized this was the original lab. The so-called expert is not an expert but a priest. He tells them that the only way to save this is to find the little girl's original blood, but the two soldiers are not great. They want to escape, but to get out of the building, they had to pass Dr. Owen's verification. The only way to open the door outside is to hear his voice. They had no choice but to follow his orders and cooperate with him to find the blood and escape. But just as they were about to move, a zombie suddenly attacked the team, and before they could react, the zombie escaped through the ceiling. A few people quickly chased after them and found that the zombie had already entered the mezzanine above. Through the vibration of the floor, the two quickly locked the zombie's location. Then there was a frenzy of strafing until the ceiling fell, and at the same time fell a dry body. Based on the body's features and clothing, Owen was sure that he was the priest who had been experimenting before. It seems likely that the little girl's blood is up there, so the team climbed up. Above was a narrow ventilation duct. The teammate did not have to walk long before they saw a small refrigerator. When he opened it, there was a tube of blood inside, but just as he was about to return with the blood sample, there was a sudden noise in front of him. Immediately after, a small zombie crawled quickly toward him. The team retreated fast enough to block the zombie attack with a wire mesh. There was more than one of these little zombies. They were all experiments of the priest before. Blood was in hand. The two men were eager to leave, but Owen wanted to check the authenticity of the blood again, only to see him pour the blood into a plate and then use the cross and keep reciting the incantation. In a short time, the blood began to boil and burn, but the next second, the blood in Balagueró's hand also inexplicably burst into flames, scaring him, and he threw it on the ground. The blood sample he had so easily found was ruined. It was his only hope. They thought Owen would give up, but he asked to continue the search. Failure to complete the task, or wanted to stay here, but they just walked out of the attic. A man suddenly appeared outside. The team reflexively pulled the trigger and threw him down as a zombie, but a few people did not expect several people to appear downstairs, and their hands held a camera. It turns out that just an hour ago, several young people who like adventure saw a firefighter and a man sneaking around, looking at the map as if conspiring. Driven by curiosity, Several young people followed them up and finally found the two men entering the sewer. They guessed this sewer should lead to the isolated building, and something interesting must have happened inside. So they decided to go in and find out what was happening, but as soon as they got inside, they collided head-on with the fireman and the man they had just met. Seeing these young people not listen to advice, the fireman beats one of the boys. The boy is also ready to leave the place because of the beating. However, this place is easy to come to want to go but very difficult. The manhole cover has been locked outside, and they cannot get out. Firefighters are looking for previously lost teammates. Men are looking for their families, and several young people are purely for adventure. The matter has come to this. Several people have to act together. Then they came to the second floor to look for the man's family, but there was no one alive inside. They found it turned into a zombie's wife. At the critical moment, the boy lit the scurrying monkey in his hand and stuffed it into the zombie's mouth. I did not expect this thing to be quite effective. The zombie was successfully killed, but this scene also scared everyone silly. A few young people kept clamoring to get out. Still, the firefighters only tentatively approached the window, and the people outside shot at them, so it seemed impossible to get out. Several people quickly left the place. They came to the stairwell but found men desperately running to the attic. So the scene just happened. The man was shot by the squad and thrown down from above. And the people upstairs saw that they had cameras in their hands and were worried that everything here would go public, so they were ready to go down and catch them, and a few people were scared and immediately hid in a room, and the team needed to find out where they went. They could only search from house to house. The last lesson is not enough for the captain and Owen outside the guard. It must be someone acting alone. It didn't take long for a zombie to appear downstairs, followed by a group of zombies above. The two of them were attacked by their backs, and after solving a few zombies, they hid in a room, but the teammate in the opposite room was in trouble, forced into the toilet by a few zombies. Seeing that the zombies were about to break in, the teammate chose a decent way to die. Losing another team member, the captain told Owen to tell the people outside to open the door and that he would die if he continued like this. But Owen once again chose to refuse because there were so many infected people there, and the girl possessed by the demon must also be there. As long as the blood is taken from her body can stop all this. And at that moment, the photographer suddenly received a signal from the teammate who had turned into a zombie at the beginning. Just a few people found the helmet of that teammate and can now determine their location, and a few people here just picked up the helmet when they heard a child's voice. They followed the voice and found a room, and when they saw the cross on the door, they knew that the room was holding the zombie. Not knowing why, they opened the door and saw the zombie standing there. Then he lunged at them, and the fireman and the zombie struggled. He tried to pull out his gun and was knocked to the ground by the zombie. The little girl saw the situation and picked up the gun on the basis. Looking at her, she knew that the shooting must be very accurate. As expected, the first shot directly killed the fireman. The zombie was silly on the spot. Not according to the set of things. The girl pulled the trigger again and killed the zombie, and the captain and others found them. Looking at these young people who were almost collapsed, the captain was ready to put them in the house, but one of the young boys had been bitten by a zombie. A familiar figure appeared in the corridor when the two tried to bring him under control. She is exactly the female reporter Angela who was dragged away at the end of the first film, and I never thought she would still be alive. The two men locked up the mutated boy and then went to confirm whether Angela was infected, but she was not. Angela also said she saw the demon-possessed girl in the attic on the roof of the building, but two people searched the attic, and nothing unusual was found. Angela went on to say that she saw it through the camera's night vision. Hearing this, Owen understood instantly and took them back to the attic again. Here, they turned off all the lights and turned on the night vision device, and the next thing that happened was a magical scene. The photographer found a door on the opposite side through the night vision device. Under his guidance, Owen opened the door, but when they came inside and turned on the lights again, they found that it was a different space, a place they had never been before. Owen told the photographer to keep the lights off, and the photographer found a pool. As long as the lights are turned on, the pool is invisible. Turn on the night vision camera, pool appears in front of you again. Under the guidance of the photographer, the captain slowly approached the pool. He used the butt of the gun to test and found that there seemed to be something inside. But when he was ready to use his hands to fish, the pool suddenly jumped out of a zombie and dragged him in. The photographer immediately turned on the lights and found that the captain had also disappeared from the world. When he turned off the lights again to look for the captain, he saw a horrible scene. The demon-possessed girl zombie in the eyes. Angela tells everyone not to make a sound so the zombies can't see them. However, Owen's walkie-talkie went off, and the zombies attacked him from behind. In the nick of time, the female reporter attracts the zombie's attention, and she, too, is grabbed by the zombie's head. She has a gun and kills the zombie with one shot. But in this way, Owen lost all his efforts because the demon-possessed girl died, and the blood sample disappeared with her. It is only logical to leave the building now, but Owen refuses to give the order. But Angela did not obey him and immediately knocked Owen to the ground. Seeing that he was still insistent, she hit him again in the jaw. The photographer panicked immediately. If Owen were killed, they would never get out. But for such a stubborn Owen, the female reporter can only use violence to make him yield, and the photographer kept on the side to persuade the fight. But the next scene is quite outrageous. She even turned the gun on the photographer. Yes, you read that right. The photographer was killed by Angela, only to see her sitting on Owen's body and letting out a devilish laugh. It turns out that after she is taken, the demon spits a worm in her mouth, and this worm is the incarnation of the devil, and the little girl is just a used master, and now the real demon is the female reporter. She wanted Owen to open the door for her, but now there was no need. She grabbed the priest and slammed him on the ground, then grabbed the walkie-talkie he was carrying. The demon can imitate anyone's voice, and poor Owen couldn't stop it until he died.